All right, let's talk about a silent force that's basically running the show in your life almost every single day. And the crazy part is, you probably don't even notice it. Yeah, we're talking about the ego.
So let me ask you something straight up. Have you ever wondered about that invisible source of almost all your suffering? The frustration, the constant comparing yourself to others, all that stuff. It pretty much all traces back to one single thing. What do you think it is?
Yep, you guessed it. That source is the ego. Now hold on, because when most people hear the word ego, they immediately jump to, arrogance, big-headedness, pride. But honestly, that's just scratching the surface. The real ego, the one we're talking about, is so much deeper. It's that sense of I. It's the voice in your head that gloms onto your thoughts, your beliefs, your memories, and builds this whole self-image that it then feels like it has to defend 24/7.
Okay, so if it's not just for the arrogant folks out there, where is this thing hiding? Well, that's the tricky part. The ego is an absolute master of disguise. It pops up in these really subtle ways in our day-to-day lives.
We can call this the micro-ego, and you'll see it in feelings that are, well, totally normal. Think about it. That little sting you feel when someone ignores you, that's ego. That desperate feeling wanting someone, anyone, to just notice the hard work you put in, yep, that's ego too. And what about that quiet, constant habit of sizing yourself up against everyone else you see? That is the ego in action. It even shows up when you feel proud of being a good person. It's super sneaky.
So if this thing is everywhere, in all of us, where the heck does it come from? I mean, we're not born with it, right? Nope. The ego is something we build, piece by piece, our entire lives. So let's take a look at the building blocks. Okay, so the ego gets built whenever we take something like a thought or a belief or even a memory, and we basically fuse it to our sense of self. It's like you don't just have a smart thought, you start thinking, I am smart. You don't just hold a certain value, you believe I am a moral person, and those other people, they're not. See? That process of identification, that's the glue that holds the whole ego structure together.
And right there, that's one of the ego's sneakiest, most clever tricks. It can take our absolute best qualities, like our sense of morality, and twist them into a weapon, a tool for creating separation and judgment. It's what you could call the trap of goodness. So how does that even happen? Well, it starts out super innocently. You have a moral value, something you really believe in. Great, but then you see someone else, and they act in a way that goes against that value. And in that split second, you feel a little flash of superiority, or maybe frustration. Boom. In that moment, your value stopped being a simple guide for you, and it became part of your ego, a ruler you now use to measure and judge other people.
Okay, wow. So if the ego is this pervasive, sneaky thing that's built from our very thoughts and values, what in the world are we supposed to do about it? I mean, it sounds impossible, right? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? If this thing is so hardwired into our minds, how do you even start to deal with it? The first instinct for most of us is to go to war with it. We try to fight it, crush it, get rid of it. But here's the thing, and this is maybe the most important point of all. You cannot fight your ego. You just can't win. Why? Because any attempt to destroy it or suppress it is just the ego playing another game. It's putting on a different costume. The thought, I have to destroy my ego, guess what? That's just another ego thought. It creates a brand new identity for you as this super spiritual or incredibly humble person. See? It's a total trap. So what do you do instead of fighting? The answer is awareness. That's it. Look, the ego's whole game plan is to fight, to suppress, to judge. The solution, the way out, is to just observe, to see, to allow. You don't get into a wrestling match with the thought. You just notice, oh, there's that thought again. You don't try to stuff a feeling down. You just look at it clearly and see what it really is. And you can actually practice this. It's a skill. So the next time you feel that spike of frustration bubble up, instead of just getting swept away by it, try to mentally take one step back and just ask, who is it that's feeling frustrated? Or when you feel that wave of pride wash over you, ask yourself, wait a minute, is this thought, is it really me? Just asking these questions starts to create a little bit of breathing room between you and the ego's knee-jerk reaction. And I want to be super clear about this. The point of observing isn't to fix the ego or to change it. The real magic is in the act of seeing it. Think of it like this. An ego that's operating in the dark, in the unconscious, has all the power. But an ego that's brought out into the light of your awareness, well, it just starts to lose its grip. It happens all by itself. And when you start making that subtle shift from being identified with the ego to just observing it, oh man, that's when things really start to change. Your whole life begins to transform. You stop operating from this place of constant defensiveness and reaction, and you start acting from a place of real clarity. And the benefits, they're huge. I mean, with less ego calling the shots, life just gets calmer. Your relationships get better because you're not in this constant battle to defend some image of yourself. That whole endless loop of frustration and comparison, it starts to quiet down. You find yourself acting not from fear or neediness, but from somewhere much deeper, much more intelligent. Now, let's be real. This doesn't mean the ego just poofs and disappears forever. The goal here isn't to obliterate it. The goal is freedom. Its power over you fades. Its voice gets quieter. And your mind is no longer its prisoner. You actually become free.
So look, if you only remember one single thing from all of this, let it be this sentence. Ego equals identification with thought. That's it. That's the whole game. And the key to freedom is just learning to see that happening in real time.
So the next time you feel that pull, that tug of pride or hurt or judgment, just for a second pause and ask yourself this one simple question. Is this thought actually me, or am I the one who's just watching it? That one question, if you really practice it, well, it has the power to change absolutely everything.